Caleb, what do you think? Pythagorean theorem. Yeah, you do. That's like, I don't know, at least 8th grade. A squared, B squared, C squared. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
Okay. So what does that mean? Okay. ACT. It's going to be on ACT. I promise you. What's 3 squared? 3 squared. 9. 4 squared.
16.
16, right? Squared, you multiply by itself. What's 9 plus 16? 25, which is 5 squared. 3, 4, 5 is your basic triple. Everything is based on a 3, 4, 5. Is anybody taking carpentry? Is anybody eventually going to take carpentry? You are? You better know the 3, 4, 5. Because if you're going to make something with a 90-degree angle, it better have 3, 4, 5 based on it. So anyway, here's the idea. A 3, 4, 5 makes a triangle. All right, watch this. Let's say I adjust this, all right, because just watch this. All right, so 3, 4, 5 obviously works. At what point does it not work? Let me move it. All right. Why does that not work? Huh?
It doesn't work at 1.
It doesn't work at 1. Why does it not work at 1 and it does at 3?
Flat.
Flat. What makes it flat? Yeah, because if I take the 2 smallest right here and put them together, it's the same length as the biggest one. So I can't have an angle if I do that. All right, so let's move this around. So if we move the other direction, at what point? We're good there, but we're not good there. Why is that not?
You thumbed down on the right side.
Same idea, just the other side, right? So everything, this is 9, so it can't be 9. So everything from 9 to 1 would work. All right, you can see 2 through 8.9, whatever, it will work. So here's the idea. This is the Triangle Inequality Theorem. All right, it says this. Any 2 sides, if I add any of those, in this case, it was, whatever, we did 3 and 4. Anything bigger than 1, right? So 1 we said will not work. But any 2 sides, so 1.1 would work, even though it looks a little weird, 1.1 would work. Any 2 sides added together, that's the sum, has to be bigger than the third. All right, so here's the question. It's going to ask you this. If it gives you side lengths, 5, 8, and 12, let's say we cut pieces of paper 5 inches, 8 inches, and 12 inches long. Can we configure those and connect those to make a triangle? Okay, here's all you got to do. Take the 2 smallest sides, add them together, and see if it's bigger than the third. If it's bigger than the third, we're good. It can make a triangle. So the 2 smallest are what? 5, 8, 12. So what's 5 plus 8? Is 5 plus 8 greater than 12? That's the question. 5 plus 8? 13. 13 is bigger than 12. So yes, there is a way to connect those to make a triangle. So all you got to do. Take the 2 smallest, add them together, see if it's bigger than the third. All right, 2. 12, 24, 36. 12 and 24 are the 2 smallest. Was 12 plus 24? It is 36, and that can't happen because it's got to be bigger than 36. All right, that's why 4, 1, 5 won't work, because 1 and 4 together will make 5. So that would be a no. It's got to be greater than. All right, 15, 20, 36. 15 and 20 are the 2 smallest. 15 and 20? 35. 35 is not bigger than 36, so that would be a no. All right, now be careful with this. Here's what people tend to do. They tend to go with the first 2. You got to go with the 2 smallest. So the 2 smallest in this case are 18 and 11. 18 plus 11, 29. 29 is bigger than 28, so that would be, yes, that could make a triangle. And the last one, 29, 12, and 20. 12 and 20 are the smallest, right? Adds up to be 32, and 32 is bigger than 29. All right, fairly simple. Okay. Here's the next part. All right, if we go back to this, all right, we'll just, I don't know, what's your favorite number? Favorite number? 11?
Yeah.
All right, let's make this 11. Favorite number, Yoshi? 7. Okay, what does this orange side have to be to make a triangle? Okay, give me something.
5.
What's the smallest number it can be? Or what's the largest number it can be?
11.
Hmm?
Largest number it can't be is 11.
It can't be 11? Okay, so here's the question. What's the range that this orange side could be and still make a triangle? All right, so watch this. Let's just move it. All right, what point does it make a triangle and what point does it not? Oh, we got one there now, right? Why all of a sudden is that a triangle and 4 is not? Because 4 is not, but 4.1 is. Why is that?
Because 4 plus 7 is 11. Won't make it a triangle.
Exactly. So if it's 4, it won't work because 4 plus 7 is 11. The two smallest has to be bigger than the third, right? But 4.1 would work because now all of a sudden this is 11.1. Small triangle, but it will make it. So it's got to be bigger than 4. All right, let's keep going. So it can go from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Keep running over here. All right, and let's see how far we get. And then all of a sudden at 18, it will not work. Why 18?
Too big.
11 plus 7 is 18.
The two smallest, which is now 11 and 7, is not bigger than the third. So anything from 4 to 18 would work. I mean, you see that. If I run anything from 4 to 18, that's going to make a triangle. But all of a sudden now I get to 4, not going to work. Now all of a sudden I get to 18, not going to work. Okay? So when it's asking about range, y'all know what range is? Back in statistics. What's mean, median, mode, and range? What's mean? Other than mean. Based on some of y'all. What's mean? Does anybody drive? No drivers? You drive? All right, what's the median of a highway? It's the middle. All right, so if you're on the 4 lane, it's a grass area, right? All right, so the median is the middle number. The thing about median is got to put it in order. All right, remember these mean, median, mode, range? What's mean? M-E-A-N. That's how I get your grade. Average. So it's the average. So if I wanted to get the average of the class, I'll take y'all's grades and divide them between how many we got, right? So that's mean. What's mode? Got to think back a couple years. We made that last year. Mode, anybody? Mode, the most used number. All right, show of hands. Who is 15? Who's 16? Well, that's close. I think 15 would be the most. So if we did the ages of everybody, 15 would show up more than anybody, and that would be the mode age of the class. All right, so what's range? Forget about math, just think about the word range. And any, like a shooting range, right? Okay. So if I'm sitting right there at range 0 feet, I'm shooting at something 300 yards. 300 yards, right?
Football
Okay.
field.
Football field. All right, let's say 50-yard line, I throw it to the end zone. What's the range? 50 yards. All right, let's say I'm standing at the other 40. And throw it to the end zone. 60 yards. So the distance, right? Okay. So the question here is talking about the range of numbers that's going to make a triangle. Well, we just said what's the smallest. Yeah, it's got to be bigger than 4, right? And less than what?
18.
So anything, the range would be from 4 to 18. Okay, here's the idea. This is what you would do on paper. So here's the question. What are their potential third lengths? And we'll just take number 1 here. Let's take 5, 8, and then what can be a value? Because here's what's going to happen on test. It's going to say, all right, which of the following, A, B, C, D, can be a potential third length? Okay, well, how are we going to do this? If you got a handy dandy tool like this, 5 and 8, I could go 5 and I can make this 8, and I could, manipulate this to see which one would and which one wouldn't. All right. You don't always have a handy dandy diagram like this, but what would be the smallest it could be? It's got to be bigger than 3. Why?
Because then 3 would just bottom out.
Yeah, because the two smallest will be 5 and 3. It's got to be bigger than 8. What's the biggest it can be?
8.
Oh, a minute. What's the biggest?
13.
13. What's got to be less than 13, right? Where does 13 come from?
5 and 8.
Because now 5 and 8 would be the smallest. Okay. If you don't have this little handy dandy thing, which you won't, here's what you do. If any two lengths have to be bigger than the third, here's your idea. This has to be true. All 3 of these have to be true. So let's say 5 and 8 are the smallest. It has to be bigger than the third. We're going to call it X. We're going to throw a little algebra in. All right, let's say 5 and whatever X is are the two smallest. It's got to be bigger than 8. All right, let's say 8 and whatever X is are the two smallest. It's got to be bigger than 5. Okay, and what if we solve these 3 little inequalities? How would you solve that? Not really solve it, just simplify it. How would you get, X is by itself. What would you do?
Combine our terms.
Yeah, so what's 5 and 8? 13, right? How would you get X by itself here? Yes.
Yeah.
How would you get X by itself here? Yeah, and what's 5 minus 8? Yeah, and you can't have a negative length because we're trying to find length, right? So you kind of disregard that. How do you get X by itself here? Well, subtract 5. Because it's a difference. So 8 minus 5 would be that 3, which we already knew, right? Because we did the diagram. All right, so here's, after you simplify all that, here's what you get. Well, you're going to throw this negative one out because you can't have a negative length. Does that make sense? All right, we already said X had to be less than 13 and X had to be greater than 3. So what you're going to do is combine those two ideas into one statement. So here's what your statement's going to look like. Just combine those two ideas. X has got to be between 3 and 13. This is the answer that it's looking for. Okay, then if it says, all right, the following, A, B, C, D, 18, 12, 3, 40, which one are potential values of the third side? Well, you figure out which ones are in that range. Which one is between 13 and 3? All right, 2, what about 12, 24, what could potentially be a third side? All right, same idea. Let's say 12 and 24 are the smallest, and what can X be? And let's say 24 and whatever the third side is, or the smallest, okay? Let's say we do the same thing we did there. How would you get X by itself on this top one? Well, it is by itself, but solve it. 12 plus 24. 36. So x has to be less than 36. How would you get that? How would you get x by itself here? Well, 12 minus 24 gets our negative, so we're going to throw that out. You can't have a negative length. And then how would you get this? Which 24 minus 12 would be. All right, so here's what you would get when you solve it. Again, throw the negative out. Combine these two statements. So x has to be less than 36, but it's got to be greater than 12. Okay, now there's a shortcut. Instead of doing all this mess for every problem, how did you get the 13? How did we get 13?
Add two sides.
Add the two sides that are given, right? How did we get the 3?
Subtract.
Subtracted the two sides, right? Just make sure it's not negative, because 5 minus 8 is going to get me a negative. I just do that. So shortcut, if you want to get this range, add the two sides that are given. Subtract the two sides that are given. It's got to be between those two. So if you do, let's say we do number 3. Instead of writing all this mess, let's go shortcut. Oh, and I messed it up. Let's put an X there. So what could that third side be? What range? Well, what's 15 plus 20? 35. Okay, it's got to be less than that, so X has to be less than that. Subtract them. What's 20 minus 15? It's got to be greater than 5. That's your statement. We don't have to go through all that mess. All right, 4. All right, let's make, scratch out 11. Make that X. So you're filling out this. Now, let's flip this a little bit. What if it had that? Right, greater than symbols, right? What if it had these less than symbols? What would you do?
Just take the big number and put it in the back.
There you go. So, in this case, 18, 28, and X. So what's 18 plus 28 or 28 plus 18?
46.
All right, so it's got to be less than 46, right? We're just switching signs, so we switch sides. And then I subtract them, 28 minus 18, 10. And this is your inequality statement. Quick shortcut. Okay? All right. I'm going to give you, when we come back, we'll take a quick break. Give you a worksheet on that. Use your shortcuts. All right, quick break. Wake up, do some calisthenics, jump jacks, whatever. We'll come back.